I did the base as an hexagon. You can do it as a circle. It just takes more work because I had to put the shingles one by one, which is, it really, you know, it's okay because in some of the other roofs, I also did them one by one. This is just craft paper from the big roll in Home Depot. You know, they sell these huge rolls, and I just cut it in little strips and cut it and just glue them in there.
Okay, so it's like
It's
the brown paper.
yeah,
like,
the brown paper that you can put on the floor for, I don't know, whatever. I tried cardstock and it's way too thick for HO, way too thick. This one worked, you know, it's okay, it looks good. And once you weather it, it looks pretty neat. It just, there it is. Now, these are not very good roofs because they didn't come out completely flat and whatever, but they look good anyway. So if you want to do this type, you know, just make a circle and make a cat in there, glue it, good luck. Because I did so many until I got one that it was halfway even. Maybe I should have used some cardstock or some, I mean, this is cardstock, I think. Something lighter, I don't know. Anyway, this is a way of doing it. This is an easier way of doing it, doing the hexagon. I send in some paperwork on something like that. What I do is I print this in cardstock. I, how do you call it when you score? You score it with the back of your X-Acto knife, not with the front, to make it real straight. And then just fold it up. You end up with something like this. Let me see, I knew I have some, but I lost it already. That's me. There it is. So when you score it with the X-Acto knife, you just get a straight line. Just glue it and you end up with this. Now, what I did is I printed two of them, both of them in cardstock. One of them I formed, the other one I cut in pieces, and the pieces are little pizza slices that will go right here. And I put the shingles straight on this one. You glue them. This is just samples that I kept because I use different paints. I did a lot of these in different type of shingles and use different paints. I wrote in the back what kind of paint it was, just so I will have a sample to see what I like better. Anyway, so you put them on the little squares, on the little pizza triangles, cut them when they're dry, just cut them to shape. Then you glue them on this. This is obviously not the right thing, but anyway, you just glue them on and you'll end up with something I don't have.
On the roof of one.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can, I have some roofs. Anyway, you end up with this all around. Then on the, whatever the two slices of pizza meat, you put the little piece of wood, which is just a tiny little nothing. I think it's 2x2 in HO. I weather it first and just put it on.
What did you use to weather it?
I weather with this. My son is a geek. He's into he was for a while into war gaming, I think they call it, and they sell paints. This is the Citadel. I thought I got a new one. No, that's okay. Citadel, and this is a shade. It's called. This does an awesome job because this is just that. I don't paint the paper shingles, and I use any kind of paper shingles. And all I did is weather it with this, just brush it in. It's a shade, It's a little bit like the ink and
Like
alcohol, but it doesn't, this does a much better job because it goes in the little cracks. This is N scale. Can you see that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This is the same I did for that one. And this one, these are just different shingles. This one is Campbell's. And this one is from Builders in Scale. And no, this is Builder from Scale. This one is just craft paper. And all it has is this thing that I brushed on just to make it, you know, give it a little bit of a color. Color and depth. It really looks neat. I mean, I think it looks neat. I don't know. It's all in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? I did two types of roofs. This one is tar paper, and all I did is with masking tape. This is masking tape painted. Went to the dollar store and bought a picture frame and just kept the glass. Glue a piece of the masking tape, the 2-inch has a lot of glue, while the 1-inch doesn't really have that much. So I always use the 2-inch. I glue it because I'm from Spain. I think meters and centimeters. I don't do inches. I figured that a centimeter is roughly a foot in nature, roughly. It's close enough for me. I don't know. Oh, he's gonna check it out.
Scale is a metric scale anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I measure centimeters on this and I cut it. There's always one in the 2-inch. There's always one that it's a little smaller. So I always mark it with a little S in here. That's the smaller one. So I always score it with the X-Acto knife, make sure it's cut, go twice over it, and always do it before you paint. Because if you cut it after you paint, it messes up the paint. And then all you have to do is just pull it out. Oops. Oops, there we go. You end up with a strip of tar paper that is already ready to stick up. And I do the same thing. I have my octagon ready and I have my other triangles ready to be covered, and just go for it. The first one is always a little, you know, so it will overlap. Oh, I didn't bring, yes, I do bring. Anyway, once you have it all covered and you press it in, I don't know if you can, I'm sure you can see this.
Yes.
You have pressed it in, so you will have a little bit of a line of an overlap in there. And I press it real good because the glue, I think is the glue in the duct tape, makes a little bit of a texture that looks good later. I tuck it in real good, you know, cut it a little bit, tuck it in, make sure it's very flat. Do the same thing, just glue it in the one that you have already formed, and get a little bit of, my 2x2 piece of wood. What I use for the paint on this one is just a regular old pavement color. So once I glue the pieces of wood in here, then I just paint it with this. After that, you can weather it. This obviously is not very good. This one turned out a little better. After that, I haven't weathered this one at all. You know, you can pull some of it out a little bit and just do some weathering. The access hatch here is just a piece of cardstock with a tiny little piece of cardstock, a smaller piece of cardstock. The one on the top has the same masking tape, just tucked in, That gives it a little bit more of a, how do you call it, thickness. I don't know if you can see
I
that.
can see it, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna move this so you don't
Oh,
have
okay.
to push all the way.
Oh, that's okay. So I just put the regular, piece of cardstock with the other smaller piece of cardstock covered with the masking tape. And I painted with something that, this is my favorite paint ever. This is also from my son's stash. These ones are excellent. This one in particular, I have used it for 1,000 things. It's a really dark gray greenish color that is just awesome for train modeling. It's I don't know if you can see the name.
I'll, if you don't mind, I'll type it into the
Okay.
chat.
It yeah. It gives this little, it's like a gray greenish for the finial, for metal that is kind of rusted, but not rusted. It's just an awesome color. It's you probably can buy it online only. I have at home
Googling
like
it right now.
yeah. That people, the P3s and then the Citadel, they have some awesome colors. Just some, and then they have the how they call it. Never mind. You go in there and you look around. Some of them are really weird colors because they're supposed to be for, invented characters, but some of the darker colors are really good for the.
I just shared the link in the chat.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. I did a little, you're supposed to put some kind of a safety in the hatches. I mean, you cannot just leave it to open. So I just put a little piece of wire and I roll it in there somehow and, just pretend that it was locked. This is with a strap of brass, I think. I don't know, I did the little things. This one even has the hinges or something similar anyway. So now you have the top of the roof. I put, how you call it, my brain is just, rafter tails, I guess. So you have to put one under the hexagon, under each corner per se, which I did here. I put it all the way so it will just give some more support to the actual bridge. And then there is a trim that goes around on the sides. I made my own trim because that's what I do. This is a 1x6 plus a 1x4 plus a 1x1 or 2x6, 2x4, and 2x2. And you just kind of glue them to make a little stairs. I don't know, maybe you can see better the one that is already colored. I don't know. Anyway.
Point it straight at it. There you go.
Oh, okay.
You can see that. Yep.
Okay.
The question was asked, what did you use to make the finial?
Oh, the finial. I did bring finials. Yay. Go to Michael's. Spend a little while there. The finials are made with a little bead that I bought. I bought these little beads for 99 cents. I bought a bag of them, plastic. How you call it, skewered? Skewered them with a pin. I have the little, then you have the little beads, the color beads that everybody has everywhere. I put that underneath to kind of give it a little bit of a space between that and the round piece. And the round piece is just, actually I got it from this, let's see. I don't know what I did with it. As usual, here. This is to make the back of an earring. Yeah, for the earrings. So this is the backing. I'm always, every time I go to Michael's, I just looking for weird shapes and things, and maybe I can do something with that. So I ended up buying this thing, which maybe you can focus on that.
Yeah,
And I just took it apart to see what is inside. And so I ended up with this little, pull this out, oops, with this bottom part, which I made completely flat. And then I just put, you know, the pin, the big bead, the little bead, the flat side, and this little thing that has the, oh shoot, can't see. This thing to make earrings with. Actually, once you open it up, inside comes this little rubber piece.
gasket.
Gasket, yeah. Thank you. My vocabulary is lacking. It actually acts as a stopper and keeps everything in line because it's really tight fit. So there, see, it doesn't move. I painted it with my favorite, this one, and it gives it all a nice gray color, and that's it. It's, you know, I have 2 of them already made here in color. I have a lot of things in this bag. I forgot. I did all this in July, so I forgot what I had. So this is the final, and that's painted with that thing. Nothing else on it. Look at that. I made some extra ones. I forgot I made that. Extra little, how you call it? Can you get it down that
Yeah,
far?
I got 'em.
Okay.
The hatches.
Yeah, the hatches. There you go. So when you put the shingles, you have to leave a space for the hatch. It's easier to leave the space and fill it up later than to have to pull out shingles. Trust me. Been there, done that. So that's pretty much the roof, I think. Anybody has any questions? No? Good.
Anybody have any questions at this point? I've been trying to answer as we go along.
Yeah. It's just so many little pieces. I have a box that says finials, and it's got all kinds of weird things in there that, you know, I just pick up from the store and whatnot.
Michael's,
it's got a lot
dangerous.
of things. Yeah, it's got a lot of things.
I found a chain in there that I use for, you know, chains on,
yeah.
on railroad cars, because it's so much cheaper than buying it from
Oh yeah.
Micro-Mart.
Yeah. I do get the chain from wherever I get it. The other thing I use a lot is I don't buy the one that is blackened or whatever. I buy the cheapest, the gold.
Right.
And I use that Jax, I think it's called, liquid where you blacken the thing.
Yeah.
I love that. I use that for the spout, all the metal parts, everything that I have that is metal. It always gets a wash of Jax, I think it's called, and brass or whatever. I have a couple of them. One is for brass and one is for white metal. They look good. I don't have to paint it on or nothing. All the wires, everything. This thing is coming apart. Too many trips. Okay, so the spout assembly. That's a pain to do that one. Let's take the colors away, the paints away. And this is something else. Okay, so I used the Durango Press little spout set. I think that somebody else does that. Grand Line has a spout. This one just comes with the set. It's easier. So that's what I used. They have several things that you have to make. Pretty much the instructions are in the back, how to do it. Now this is where I'm gonna need help with the words. With the words, I don't know what they are. Okay. you have to make it pretty much will look like this. And then the spout will go in there.
A support frame.
The support, yeah. Yeah, I thought I was ready. Right. Whatever.
So here's what
We'll
I
find
put in
it.
the- Here's
Yeah.
what I pulled up the website for Jax.
Yeah.
I thought I'd used it before. I use it when I do stained glass.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, because that's
Yeah,
how you,
but
otherwise
the-
you end up with that bright copper.
For the
And-
copper, yeah.
So yeah, they're patinas. That's what you
Yeah.
call them.
And they come for different metals. So,
Yeah, so I just found the website that's going to show that page, and I'm going to
Yeah.
copy it and paste it in the chat.
yeah. And some of them, you have to have the ones that work for whatever metal. I mean, some of them don't work for brass, some of them.
Right.
So anyway. I know I have one open. Yes, there it is, hiding away. I figured the white one will be easy. I opened this thing yesterday. The assembly, the spout assembly calls for this long piece of wood that sits in the back, and you're supposed to open let me see, a hole big enough to, maybe you can see there. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Against the thing.
there you go.
So
over
you
the
have
green.
to, yeah, or the green, let me see.
Yeah,
There.
there you go. Perfect.
Ha. So you're supposed to open that little hole in there to place and this is where I need help. I don't know what it's called. The little round thing where you.
Did you put the support line
It's
for
like a roll, and you.
the spool.
Spool. Okay.
There you go.
There you go. That word. The spool that I have lost. It's supposed to be here and it's not here. Well, anyway, that goes in there. You have to put enough of a hole in here to put the spool and the wire or the chain or whatever you want to put that will lower or raise the spout. The kit comes with this smaller one, but I like to just put a bigger one and then I can cut it to measure, because it's supposed to go from the bottom of the actual tank all the way to the top. And the ones that they provide really are not very big, especially if you're supposed to put the spool and sit there. So anyway, I just get a bigger piece of wood, carve it. Then these are the channels that you cover. You have to carve the little, let me see, there. I think it's upside down. The smaller piece, can do it.
Yeah.
The
So
smaller,
like place to place array.
yeah. So that's for the pipe that comes with the water from under the tank. Is supposed to go through here. I guess you can see it there. And I try to put different ways of holding the thing, because this spout doesn't really have any way to hold the spout up or
Chris,
down.
Could you turn the tank where the spout faces a little closer to you?
Like that?
And I'll move it that way. Perfect.
Uh-huh.
Because now you're short in the background bed compared to the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the spout for Durango press kit doesn't have anything to actually hold the spout up, so I just cannot use some wire, the one that comes from up here, just to round it up and put a little bit of this thing came loose, so that's just, sorry. I wonder if I have another one, never mind. And then use some of the wire. The person that pulling the tank up has something to pull it down with. So that's what I use, that little extra wire in there. I was doing another one that I was just gonna put a little hook in there. So I started drilling in on the top of the spout in order to put a little hook in there, and that will have the chains. The other thing about this little kit is that they have these two little, and there's another word that I don't know, to hold the chains.
Yeah.
And
Mounts.
the mount, whatever it's called, whatever he said.
Chain mount.
There you go. They have a right and a left because they're kind of tilted towards the spout. So you have to see which one it is. You're supposed to just glue it to it. I don't like it gluing it. I actually drill it, and the chain actually goes through it because I'm picky, or I have the time, I guess. I don't know what else to tell you about the spout assembly. It's like I was talking to Tom, or whatever. There's a way of there's some kind of a connection between the spout and the actual water
Reservoir.
yeah, to actually let the water out, that when you lower the spout, it pulls a little drain,
yeah.
a little door, and lets the water out. I haven't done that in my models. In some places, you actually have a little bit of up on the roof, you have a little thing with a wire that goes in, and you pull it down, and I don't know. You can do some research on that and adapt that if you want. I didn't. That's let me see.
Okay, the question came in, this may, so two questions. This may have been covered before, but have we discussed what era this tank is? I noticed that some tanks are square. Wonder if this is before or after that era.
I have no idea. I know that in the older days, the tanks were kind of like a cone shape, and that's because they didn't have the little how you call it, fastener, turnbuckles. That word always escapes me. So they used these big old rings of metal that were solid, and they will have rings that will go different sizes. So it's like making a barrel. They will put all that's another word that always escapes me. You see, I'm not good at this. So they will put the ring down, hammer it down, and then put the smaller ring and a smaller ring, and you end up with a water tank that was kind of
like a barrel.
Yeah, little conical shape.
Yeah.
And that's what the first ones. But I read somewhere that in the beginning of the century they came up with turnbuckles, and then they saw that they could just do smaller pieces of bands, metal bands, join them up with the turnbuckles, and just make a straight up and down tank. And that was actually easier to maintain and easier to service, and they could just change the bands easier. And that's why they had that, they were straight up and down. And the ones that are vertical, yeah, they are easier to maintain, I understand. And they have more water, everything. So that the ones that were conical shape, they're the really first ones. These are later, beginning of the century. And the ones that, and I believe that the ones that have like a stone base or something, it's just whatever you have. You're not gonna bring wood in the middle of the desert. You're gonna have rocks. So you use Rocks. That's what I'm thinking.
The only thing I'll say to add to this, your question, Phil, is in Tierra Amarillo, New Mexico, the water tank still stands from the Chile line that ran down from Encinitas, Colorado to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And that was built in 1896, and it is identical to any number of these tanks she's got on the table. The three over here, I mean, they're the color and everything. Have you ever seen them? Have
Me?
you ever been up there? No, and yet they're perfect replicas.
But internet is
Right, well, the
wonderful.
internet is amazing, right?
They got these beautiful pictures.
Right. The next question is, last month you talked about leaving a gap in the tank base.
Yeah,
Can you review that, please?
sure. Oh, I'm glad I brought this stuff. Well, hang on a second. Let's see. Tararin, tararan. This is the tank. I think this is what they're talking about. Let me see. Here it is. When you build the support for the tank itself, you're gonna, I didn't bring the one that is almost started, but anyway, here is one that is halfway done. You end up putting the middle part, this is the first part, the first cross piece that you put in there. Let me see. Let me just start from the beginning. So I put, I did the sides. Okay, I put it on the jig. I have a foam with a plan of what this is supposed to look. I had the stoppers, the little, you know, to put all the parts in place. And I built only 7 sides, not 8. Then I put the middle part. Once I had the middle part in there, then I put this last piece that is open in the middle. Remember that this is like, I think these are 6 by 12 or 4 by 12, I think they were. While these other ones are 2 by 12s. So you do that, you leave it open for the spout to come out from the, you know, it just sits like that. Let me see, but more or less backwards. Hello. There. You there?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. So you just leave it there. As you put now the cross pieces, which are 4 by 4s, I believe, you do the center part. This also goes all the way. This is this. But then on this side, you leave it open. Actually, what I did is I put them all the way and then just cut them with the scissors, file them and color them again. So it will just have the opening for that one piece. For that, I don't think you can see it in here. It's too dark, but it's there.
Actually, give me a sec. I have an option.
I don't know if you can see that.
That's probably going to be as good as we're going to
Yeah.
get there, but I can see it. So
But it
hopefully
is there. You just leave enough room for the spout, for the little pipe to come through. I don't know if that answers that question or they want some.
Jim, did that cover your question?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, that's what that was. This is what it's supposed to be when it's finished. And again, the corners might not look so good, but then you sand it down and they all look good. And for God's sakes, weather it before you, because now with even though I tried very, very little glue, it's always gonna look. but I figure it looks better in the, you can see it better.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever, it's there. I guess I can spray paint. Let me see. What else? Whatever details. Okay. There is a water gauge, water level gauge, right there. That is made with I did not have a channel in wood that is that size. So I just put a small piece of wood and then made the sides. The gauge itself, I had an old photocopy of the gauge somewhere, whatever. I had a photocopy, so I just kind of made a photocopy. I cut it, glue it in there, weather it. The only tricky thing, and I had it out here to show you, is the actual gauge. There is a gauge in there, and the gauge I made with thread is right here. Let me see. This is just a piece of black thread. What I did is I tied it to a hook or something, I can't remember. And I brushed the glue, just white glue to it, and put a weight at the bottom of it. Let it dry, and it dries stiff. It's just very easy. And then the end of it, it's another tiny drop of Elmer's glue, or whatever it's called, carpenter's yellow glue. Just put a drop in there and let it dry as a drop. Paint it in red, and you got a gauge.
The
Just
question,
glue it in there.
the question that came up is, I've seen extra spouts for sale, but I have not seen the extra elbows for sale. What was your source?
Yeah. It comes in this kit. The kit has everything. But I have not seen the elbow at all.
Extras? Yeah.
I have bought some extra spouts, like, this little one for that end gauge that I built and the scale. And I found spouts, but this is the only kit that has the other part, the Durango press. And I think this is for narrow gauge, but it will do.
Don's shaking his head up and down, yes.
Yeah, the same thing with the O scale, because I was gonna build an O scale one, and I bought a spout for it, but I haven't. I just
Right.
too many water towers.
Tom says Plastruct has one.
Oh, is that right?
Plastruct M, yeah.
Huh. Plus track.
Yeah, Plastruct is the one who does
Okay.
like little things, like kind of like evergreen.
Oh yeah.
It's a styrofoam.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I got a catalog from these guys somewhere, and they have an incredible amount of things that
Yeah.
I have never seen in my life.
Yeah. I live for plastic.
Yeah.
As you well know.
Yeah. Okay, so these are the colors that I use to paint this. I don't know if you see the difference. I don't see the difference personally. This one before, and this one before I actually put made the tank, I weather with ink and alcohol all the wood. This one I didn't. I can see a little bit in the cracks maybe, but not really. But anyway, if you're gonna paint, if you want to weather everything, that's fine. If not, whatever. For the yellow tank, there's not such that paint. What I use is, I like this ceramic coat, whatever. 1, 2, and 3. I use these 3 colors. I mixed up this yellow is got a good tint, but it's too bright. So I use, I put a little white on it. And then to give it a little bit of orange toasty color, I add up a little bit of the raw sienna with this, or yeah, raw sienna. I just mix it up. And the same thing that I did with everything. I mix it up and I do some testing and put it aside. I don't have the measurements. I just kind of add up as I go because I just kind of, that's how it works. But anyway, just a little bit of white and yellow with some white, and that drop of the raw sienna will give it that orangey, toasty kind of warm color that I really like. On this one, whoops, on the red one, I use well, a Tuscan red with black. I just add up some black on that until it came out right, or to my eye, it came out right. The bands on this one, I painted with the same thing that I have painted the roof, which is the asphalt, or this one, or charcoal. They're pretty similar, or, you know, these two colors are very similar. So I don't remember which one, but I did paint the bands with that ahead of time. So, and that's about it. The weathering is just how you call it, pan pastel. That's it, pan pastels in whatever colors I had, which is, you know, I use some white and black or very dark charcoal type of thing, and a lot of rust coming off the turnbuckles. Hey, I remember the word this time. I think that's about it, unless anybody has any question. Oh, the stairs. I do have the stairs, which I forgot to bring this time. This is from a Campbell's kit. Whoops. Where are
Sorry,
you?
I'm
Where
trying
are
to follow
you?
you.
There you are. This is from Campbell's kit. I just made a photocopy and I put it on a piece of cardboard, cardboard, yeah. I usually put wax paper on it and just use whatever, 2x2s or 1x2s or whatever it is to do the stairs. I always do a very tall one and then I cut it to measure. Ladder. That's right. Ladder. Hey, you just can't learn a language properly. Not me. I did add up a little steps of the ladder in the roofs, depending on where your access hatch is. If you have it way up here, you have to add up a little one. If you have it way down here, you probably can get away without it. So that's it. I don't know if you want to look at the roofs, the difference in roofs. This one is going to fall off because it's not glued yet. Yep. That. And then the round ones.
Let's see. Let's go that way.
And again, most of the, I just can't talk enough about this thing. This is awesome.
No, that's really good.
This one is really good.
So it's the same brand as P3, right?
No, this is Citadel.
Oh, that is Citadel. Let me.
And this is very easy to find in the stores here that sell gaming.
Okay.
And because they all carry the Citadel.
So
they don't carry the
probably
P3.
has it?
The who?
G&G.
No, gaming. Gaming as in war games.
Okay.
The things the geeks play. I don't know.
Yeah.
They have the little figures and they
Right.
do this
Role-playing
gaming.
games.
Yeah, yeah. And they have these paints that are just absolutely. I can send information on who has the stores. I know there's one in Amble. There's actually two.
I'll type the name in the chat.
But
It's all right.
yeah.
I'll snag it.
Yeah, that one is really fantastic. I use it for a lot of things. Everything that needs a little, add up a little depth to details. And it's wonderful because you can put a big blob in there. It finds its way. And and if it's too much, just pick it up with a paintbrush and it comes right out in the paintbrush. So you don't have so much in one spot. And it turns one thing into another. I don't know.
And I'm
You
just
have that.
pulling out
Okay, whatever.
a website that has
Yeah.
it and just copy paste and that one's done.
All right.
Everybody's got a link.
So,
Oh, no, I don't want to send that to you. Sorry, I meant to send this to everybody.
oh, good things there. Yeah, I did the same thing. I don't know if you can show it in there. In the
Actually, yeah,
camera.
you can see,
Yeah, okay.
frame.
In this water tank, this N scale, instead of chain, I used the same thing with the thread.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. I took a long piece of thread, let it, dry, put it glue on it, let it dry while it will be very stiff. Then fold it up to put it in there and adapt the little weights, which is just a drop of glue.
Have you tried silk thread? It's even better.
Yeah, I kind of, no. I just tried whatever it was in my sewing box.
Yeah.
Because it's just trial and error.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, I need to try a lot of things.
No, I mean, it's, if you're ever in like Joann's, they have silk embroidery thread
Uh-huh.
and it's incredibly thin. It's a little harder to get something to adhere to it. You actually need to run a little piece of 300 grit sandpaper on it
Okay.
to get it to hold something, because you want it to slub just a little bit. But then
Okay.
once you do, you can get it to hold that like glue or anything.
Oh, I shall check it out.
A lot of sewing going on in my household.
So you have all kinds of things.
Yeah, and my parents, my mother and my grandparents and stuff, lots of sewers, lots of tailors in my family actually over the centuries.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for me.
Okay, so
I'm done.
do we have any questions for Lourdes? Well, we got her here captive. Tom applauds you. Anybody, any questions? Anybody?
1, 2, 3, done.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if nobody has any, go ahead, Jim.
Okay, guys, I just want to put a commercial in here. Make sure you go onto YouTube and watch last month's video, because Lourdes came over and we did record it, and you'll get a lot of good hints there, right? And she was showing that slot in the base, that a lot of useful information right there in that section on how to do that. So Lourdes, we do appreciate you doing this. Did an excellent job.
Okay.
JC, you did great with the cameras, man. That was fantastic. We got a lot of good up close shots. We appreciate both of you doing this for us.
No problem. I think this setup, sorry to share with everybody but I think honestly, Jim, that this setup works best. So that way they've got the table, the pan camera is on the table with them. So they literally just need to move their hand down. And then we've got the external camera so that we could look from one angle if we needed something further out and the other from the other angle. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
This is the huddle cam. So if we needed to zoom in, there's a zoom option there as well.
Great work. Really appreciate the effort there. And
So
guys, I just also wanted to let you know that JC did a nice donation for us. He bought the cables, long enough cables to be able to route these cameras. So we do appreciate that. That was a nice donation.
Thank you, JC.
Awesome, thank you.
Not a problem.
So is anybody going to build a thingy?
A water tower, anybody
Yeah.
building this?
I've started.
Don says he started.
Good. Too many doll houses to build.
I'm actually going to use your weathering techniques to put on mine. So
Yeah,
And
Do-
also the roof is very good too.
The
Yeah.
roofing thing is, that's what I'm gonna use. That's really, and
The-
I'm always about new little thingies.
Yeah.
Oh, so an HO foot is 4 millimeters.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
Oops.
it's all right. I mean, you know, I'm the only one,
Yeah.
you and I would be the only ones who would look that up. For my, I have to keep up with those factors. Multiply
Yeah.
divide the millimeters by 2.54,
Okay,
and that'll give you the inch,
all right.
the fractional of the inch. And then just multiply that by 87.
Well, my tar paper is 2 feet anyway.
It's all right, you know, hey, and it's.
You know, I'm just trying new things and doing whichever way works. And so
I
far,
mean,
so good.
You know, I think you
Yeah.
and I would be the only ones out there with our micrometers. That's why
Yeah.
you and I should
Oh,
never
yeah.
judge anything. I'll be out there with the micrometer looking, does this, I don't know, that's not scale. Can't, yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I just gotta do it. It looks okay, and I don't know.
Okay, guys, I'm going to take a short break, and then I'll capture this record and post it to YouTube, just so you know, on Facebook, and I'll also do it on my cloud download. I'll give you a link, but all the chat questions and everything will be in a separate file. So if you want, if you want to get those addresses and everything that JC captured for us, they'll be in the separate chat file. And all the directions and all the dimensions and the bill of material will also still be up on the site. You can get a fresh download of that if you need it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end this recording. You guys can go ahead and chat if you want to.